Okay, I'm gonna do an overview of how I would suggest to work on your throwing as a position player in the off season. There's 4 drills that I like for position guys. I will attach all of them as links in YouTube. But the first one I like is seated throws. The next one I like is 2 knee throws. Then from there I like 10 toes. And on top of that, I like 1 leg throws off our back foot. So for a right-handed thrower, throwing from their right leg. The reason I like all this is because it gets you really good at throwing the ball with your upper body. Throwing is an upper body driven movement. So in general, if we can get better at throwing the ball and being athletic rather than trying to do these stiff drills, in my opinion, there's a lot of drills out there that can make guys stiff, and especially for position players, I want them to be athletic. So I like those 4 drills. And in terms of how you want to go about this, I really like long toss for position players. You're going to be making longer throws at a lot of different angles with your feet moving. So as a position player, playing long toss with your feet moving is one of the best things you could do. In terms of how I would progress it in the off season, early on, the first month of throwing, first of all, I should say this does depend on how long you've taken off. For position players that have taken off less than a month of time, I think this is a good way to ramp up. If you've taken off more than a month from throwing, your ramp up needs to be slower in this earlier stage. And again, you need to be listening to your arm on this, but generally what I suggest is throwing the first week 3 times, second week 4 times, third week 5 times, fourth week 6 times. Do that 4th week program where you're throwing 6 times a couple of times, so you're really feeling good with your arm. You know you can handle the volume. We want to build up that volume first. And we're just playing light, loose, long toss. We're not trying to work out to throwing the ball as hard as we can the first week, but you're doing those drills, you're working on moving your feet, you're getting that volume up every single day. And again, I know this is generally a big description, but this is a really good way to go about how you can build your own throwing program without having to go and get a customized throwing program for hundreds of dollars from a coach, right? So when we do this, nice and easy, like 50% the first couple of weeks, working up to 60, 70% the next couple of weeks. And then as you work up higher and higher percents, then we could start ripping it 1 to 2 times a week. I generally like a Monday, Friday, or a Tuesday, Friday throwing high intent. And for position players, that can be radar gunning those different drills, or doing shuffle throws, or throwing from your position, how you do. Generally for position players, I would say you're gonna wanna be more on like the 1 true max effort day a week. And then that other day you're throwing hard, what I like to do is try and whip the ball out with as little perceived effort as I can to hit a certain velo number. So if I could take a shuffle throw, and how easily can I shuffle 90? That's something that I like a lot for position players. And then the next time, if you're a position player that really wants to drive up that velo, maybe pull downs or something you do there. Maybe you radar gun your kneeling throws. Things like that I find are very beneficial. And again, I know this is a general description, but this could really help you. I had to build up my throwing many times when I hurt my shoulder, so I was very much in that ramp up phase a lot of times. And then the last piece to that is when we're throwing, the biggest key, and I know I just mentioned this, is how easily can we get the ball to our partner? How little effort can we make in our throw and get the ball, let's say 70 yards? The reason I like this is for position players, you're gonna have to be throwing every day. As an outfielder, you might have to throw a max effort throw 1 time a game for a week straight, who knows, right? So when we can take that stress off our arm and make that throw, we wanna feel like we're doing it as easily as possible. The other reason behind this is generally, that's going to help you transfer your energy the most efficiently. So I'm a big fan of that. And that's pretty much how I'd go about programming your throwing. If you're a position player, I wouldn't really worry about letting it rip before January on these throws. You don't want to really be ripping the whole year round. There's no point in throwing a baseball as hard as you can in November as a position player, in my opinion. But that's generally how I would structure a throwing program. Again, I know it's not super specific, but if you do have questions, let me know and I will help you out on them.